Welcome, it is Mitch. I'm on YouTube. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channels. We try to build this thing up. Free agency underway. Teams can agree to deals with players and then officially sign them in a couple of days, I guess, depending on when you watch this video. And it took a little bit of time. Minnesota, Chicago, Detroit, they had all made moves already in free agency before Goody and the rest of the brain trust for the Packers made their first move. And it shouldn't be a surprise, but for a team that, man, entering this offseason, everyone's like cornerback, wide receiver, defensive end, edge rusher, and Jeff Hafley's scheme. Green Bay does what really shouldn't surprise anyone. Their first move is signing an offensive lineman. They agree to a 4-year deal with Aaron Banks, who comes over from San Francisco. 4 years, $77 million, $63 million in the first 3 years. Banks widely regarded as the best guard in this free agency class, and the signing clears up a couple of things, like very, very clearly for Green Bay up front with the offensive line. Typically, the Packers prefer versatility with their offensive linemen. Zach Tom out of Wake Forest, tackle, center. Elton Jenkins out of Mississippi State, guard, center, tackle, wherever you want. Sean Ryan at UCLA, center, guard. They like offensive. Jordan Morgan, first-round pick, guard, tackle. Green Bay prefers its offensive lineman to have versatility. Banks is not that. He's a good offensive lineman, but he does not offer versatility. Aaron Banks has played 2,968 snaps his first 4 years in the NFL. 2,963 of them have come at left guard. He is a left guard. Only 5 of his snaps played in the NFL have come somewhere else. Green Bay makes this deal. They bring over Aaron Banks from the 49ers. Aaron Banks is your new starting left guard for the Green Bay Packers. Point blank. So what sort of, domino effect does this have on the rest of the offensive line? Well, Bill Huber, great reporter for the Packers, SI.com, reported on Monday before free agency even started that the team will not be bringing back Josh Myers. Myers has been the starting center for quite a few years for Green Bay. I think most would probably say had his best year as a pro in 2024. But Huber reported early on Monday that the Packers will not be bringing back Josh Myers. No one, the DK trade rumors were swirling last week. The Packers were interested. The Packers made an offer. The Packers this, the Packers that. And it was rebutted by Matt Schneidman of The Athletic, who said, no, there have been no talks. Green Bay has not made an offer for DK Metcalf. We see over the weekend Metcalf lands in a trade with Pittsburgh. Bill Huber comes out with this report that, hey, the Packers, his source tells him they're not bringing back Josh Myers. And no one rebuted it. No one said, oh, that's not entirely true. Instead, it just sat there. That's what it was. This move to sign Aaron Banks, who will be your left guard for the Green Bay Packers for the next few years, is also a clear indicator that, yes, they are going to move on from Josh Myers. Now, the two don't play the same position, but you have Aaron Banks in the fold now. You bring back Josh Myers, you have like 7 starting offensive line. It's just not, the math doesn't math. And so what will Green Bay opt to do? Well, Josh Myers is out of the picture. Aaron Banks is in the picture, agreeing to that 4-year contract with the Packers. Elton Jenkins is your new starting center. You can mix and match, Rasheed Walker, if they don't give him an extension, will he be the left tackle in 2025? Most would say yes, but could they perhaps give Jordan Morgan a look? First-round pick out of Arizona last year. Will Sean Ryan be at right guard, or will Morgan get looks there? They were on a bit of a timeshare at times. I shouldn't have doubled up there, but they were on a timeshare in spurts in the 2024 season before Morgan suffered a season-ending injury. There's questions that will exist on this offensive line entering the offseason as it carries along and into training camp, and those questions will have answers. But there's really 3 spots that are cemented in, and you could make a case it's all 5. Banks will be your starting left guard. Zach Tom will be your starting right tackle, and I'm telling you, Elton Jenkins is your starting center. Elton Jenkins was the only player for the Green Bay Packers to make a start at center, not named Josh Myers in 2024. It came in Week 9 against Detroit when Myers missed his only game of the campaign due to a wrist injury. Elton Jenkins has 87 starts in, 5 years, 6 years for the Packers? When did they take him? I think it was 2019 second round. Elton Jenkins, 87 starts, 4 different positions. Left tackle, right tackle, left guard, center. Elgton Jenkins has versatility. Aaron Banks does not. Aaron Banks is your left guard. Well, Elgton Jenkins was your left guard, so he has to move somewhere. Not going to move him to right tackle. Not going to move him to left tackle. You would assume Sean Rhyan stays at right guard for 2025. There is an opening at center. You move Elgton Jenkins to center. You're not moving anyone out of the equation because Josh Myers is a free agent. I'm telling you, Elgton Jenkins is your new starting center. Because Banks doesn't have that versatility. He's your left guard. And if you want to break down Banks a little bit, there's a lot of numbers. You can make it look any way you want. If you look at PFF's base numbers and their grading system, you might come to the conclusion that, wow, this looks like a very average left guard that Green Bay just forked over, $77 million across 4 years, $63 million in the first 3 years of that contract. If you look at deeper numbers, different metrics, you can paint the picture however you want. I always say that with statistics. You can make them look however you want for a player, for a team, for a coach, whatever. I look at Aaron Banks and I see a left guard who allowed a grand total of 1 sack across 1,068 pass blocking snaps the last 2 seasons. Again, the last 2 seasons, Aaron Banks pass blocking snaps, 1,068 of them allowed 1 sack. It's pretty damn good. Again, PFF can paint one picture. Other outlets can paint another. I'm not saying PFF is bad and their grading system is flawed. It's just, to me, it's not the be-all, end-all. It's just not. To me, Banks is good. He's on solid ground. He's built a good foundation as a left guard. If you want to look at the contract and try to validate the signing for Green Bay, some are going to be out there and say, hey, the Packers overpaid. Well, someone was willing to pay Banks the deal that he got. It was the Green Bay Packers. So I'm not going to sit here and say they overpaid. I think he's a good left guard, and he will be a left guard for the Packers. It offers them the opportunity to slide Elgton Jenkins over to center, keep everything else intact. It does mean Josh Myers isn't back. But do I think Aaron Banks is like an otherworldly, all-pro caliber left guard? No. The salary cap's gone up. Most of these teams have deep pockets this offseason to spend some money. Green Bay dished it out to cornerback Nate Hobbs. We'll probably have a video on him too. Signing came an hour or two after the signing of Banks. But Green Bay has a good starting left guard now for the foreseeable future. Jenkins, because of his versatility, offers them flexibility. I see him sliding over to center, and I don't think there's any if, ands, or buts about that. The real question to me, and I hinted at it a few minutes ago, like for I'm not talking long term. If we focus on just 2025, what happens with Jordan Morgan? You used a first-round pick on him in 2024 out of Arizona. He is in and out of the lineup at right guard with Sean Rhyan, not because of performance, because Green Bay wanted their rookie to get some reps. Sean Rhyan did, in my opinion, pretty damn good at right guard in 2024. But for just 2025, there is a scenario that exists that to me is very real where Jordan Morgan, your first-round pick in 2024 in his second year, as much as the Packers might be itching to see him out on the field, is just a backup. I mean, Rasheed Walker was good at left tackle. His contract and his future with the team, a little bit foggy, but that's not going to impact, in my opinion, it shouldn't, what you do with Rasheed Walker while he's still on the team in 2025. To me, Rasheed Walker is your starting left tackle from week 1, 2025. Your left guard is clearly Aaron Banks. Your center is clearly Elgton Jenkins. Your right guard is Sean Rhyan, and your right tackle is clearly Zach Tom. And so I think it creates, in the immediate future, a little bit of a conundrum. I guess you could say it's a good problem to have. Like, wow, the offensive line has so many pieces already in place. Your first-round pick from 2024 might not even get a look in 2025. And to me, that's the big question within all of this. Is Green Bay okay? Are they content with Jordan Morgan just being a reserve this upcoming season and being a backup? And then in 2026, if you don't get an extension done with Rasheed Walker, you then give Morgan every opportunity to win that left tackle spot. Like, to me, that this Banks signing has so many layers, but perhaps somewhat ironically, the one question that doesn't exist is, what are you going to do with Banks now that you signed him? He is a left guard. Again, in 4 seasons, he has played 2,968 snaps. Only 5 of them have come outside of left guard. Like, that is your left guard. It's the questions that the Banks signings creates because he doesn't have the versatility. Elgton Jenkins is probably your center, but I guess it could be Sean Rhyan, and then you move Jenkins to right guard. I don't see him doing that. Like, Jordan Morgan's just hanging out here, and it's like, where does he slot in? And the answer for 2025 might be nowhere. Like, the domino effect is such that Walker is your left tackle, Banks is your left guard, Jenkins is your center, Ryan's your right guard, and Zach Tom is clearly your right tackle. Like, Zach Tom playing center, and I talked about this in a video a couple weeks ago, it should have never been on the table, and I hope it wasn't ever on the table, because Zach Tom's in line for a big boy extension. He's going to want top of the line tackle money, which he should get. So giving him top of the line tackle money only to move him to center, which is still incredibly important, but centers don't get paid like tackles do, would have been just, financial malpractice for the Green Bay Packers to sort of exercise that idea. And they shouldn't, and I don't think they are, which, again, just puts that spotlight even more on Elgton Jenkins and the premise and the idea that he will be your center for 2025. But Jordan Morgan, who you used a premium draft pick on in 2024, could be on the outside looking in. But it's with the understanding that it's not a long-term thing. Because, again, this Banks signing could have a ripple effect 2 years down the road. And the ripple effect could be that Green Bay was flirting with the idea of Jordan Morgan at guard. Banks is your left guard. Ryan, probably your right guard. It could have a 2-year ripple effect where Rasheed Walker ends up, despite his pretty damn good play, not getting an extension that either he wants or desires or believes, he should be getting a bigger bite of the apple, a bigger slice of the pie, financially, money-wise. Or Green Bay just says, like, we just want to hand the keys over to Jordan Morgan, so maybe they don't even offer an extension for Rasheed Walker. Like, there's a lot of fogginess, questions. Some of them are good. Banks gives you options. It gives you a lot of depth now at guard if you're the Packers. And it clears up the center situation. Like, Bill Huber reported Myers wasn't coming back. Now it's clear as day he's not going to come back. You don't give Banks 4 years, $77 million, then dish out money to Josh Myers to be your starting center, and then you're like, okay, who's not starting? Well, Jordan Morgan's not a starter, and Sean Ryan's also not a starter, but it wouldn't make sense. But there are questions that still exist. The signing could have, again, a 2-year sort of domino effect. But for 2025, as the offseason carries along, as we get to training camp and we get to OTAs, to me, your starting 5, left to right up front, are Rasheed Walker, Aaron Banks, Elgton Jenkins, Sean Rhyan, Zach Tom. And we'll just have to see how that works out for the Packers. I like it. I'm not opposed to it, but I do think some will be like, well, you used a first-round pick on Jordan Morgan, and he's going to be a backup in his second year, and it's not even performance-based. It's because you just don't have room for him. And some will have issues with that, and I get it. But Green Bay did what Green Bay does. They're building an offensive line for Jordan Love. And keep in mind, like, Jordan Love has the ability to create outside the pocket. Jordan Love has the ability to use his legs as an asset. He didn't do it a whole hell of a lot in 2024, and some of it might have, you can attribute to the injuries. He had the groin injury. He had the knee injury, right? Elbow injury doesn't really have anything to do with the legs, and it came in Week 18 against Chicago. But if the injuries didn't play a big part of it, Jordan Love didn't really use his, like, if he showed us in 2024 what he would prefer to be, it's a pocket passer. And so you have to build that offensive line up for him to be a pocket passer if he really just doesn't want to use his legs. And, 32 teams would prefer to have the golden arm, right, for their quarterback and someone who doesn't really have to use their legs. But it's becoming an increasingly larger part of the framework for a quarterback. Josh Allen, uses his legs. Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes. Like, The best quarterbacks in the NFL use their legs as an asset when they need to, and sometimes just, by scheme, by the blueprint, by the play calling that's made throughout a game. Jordan Love didn't do that hardly at all in 2024. And if that's going to be the case moving forward, because, again, some of it might have been injuries, maybe not, you've got to build a damn good offensive line to keep him upright in the pocket and give him time to go through his progressions, make his read, and let it sling. And Aaron Banks, signing him, does that. Good offensive lineman. I don't think he's ever going to be an all-pro. I think that's clear 4 years into his career, but it's a good addition for Green Bay. And we'll see the ripple effect it has down the road on the rest of the offensive line. It is Mitch Iam on YouTube. Please click the subscribe button if you haven't already. We'll see you next time.